Hello, everyone. I'm going today to talk about reverse engineering, SPFx testing, teaching GitHub Copilot to configure Vitest for you. Very long title, but it is awesome to combine SPFx 1.22 with VS Code and GitHub Copilot and Vitest all together are awesome. So let's see what this very long title will lead us to. But before we dive in, let me briefly introduce myself. I'm Mohammed. I'm a Microsoft 365 and SharePoint developer, and currently I'm a tech lead at Atea Global Services. I'm deeply passionate about building solutions for Microsoft 365 and giving back to the community through open source contributions, community talk, blog posts. So feel free to connect with me through the social links on the slide. And find maybe some of my blog posts about the things that I face in my daily work and the things that I'm learning every day. The agenda for today is fully packed. I hope that I will manage in my time. The agenda is going to be about the challenge, testing SPFx. And I would really would like from you, if you learn something new from what I am going to demonstrate, then please write it in the chat and let's make it super interactive. I hope that we have here some of us who tried to do testing for our SPFx projects, because it is a little bit challenge, and I tried with different platforms, but now I'm using Vitest. And in order to start the Vitest, you have to do some configuration and then start testing. And so you will have to do some configuration manually and then start testing. But today, I will try with you to reverse engineering and do this manual configuration once. And with the help of GitHub Copilot, we can automate this. Then there will be a live demo about the manual process. I'm not going to configure it manually, but I will highlight the changes configuration for Vitest. And then think about the reverse engineering and how can we automate this with GitHub Copilot prompt or GitHub Copilot agent. After the manual process, we will run the automation and see how GitHub Copilot will automate the process of configuration of Vitest. And then after that, we will go through the key takeaways and maybe questions if you have, and the references and links for our demo. But before we start, let me just give you an intro, a quick intro about the Vitest. What is Vitest? Vitest is a testing library. It is inspired by Jest, and it is closely integrated with Vite ecosystem. Vite or Vite, it is a scaffolding tool which emphasizes the very fast reloads, and Vitest is to Vite as Jest is to create React app. I believe that all of us know Jest and the create React app, but today we are going to focus with Vitest. Vitest has many features. It is very easy to get started by installing the libraries and using NPM, of course. And it has fast watch mode, and out of the box, it supports testing JSX and TypeScript. It also offers excellent support for snapshot testing, and I hope one day I will prepare a demo about snapshot testing for SPFx projects. It is awesome, yeah. Then finally, the Vitest offers concurrency, meaning that it is able to execute multiple tests in parallel, and this will make the process and pipeline very fast. The configuration and setup required for Vitest, before we start, of course, we have to install the required libraries, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. We can achieve that by installing the libraries via npm, and there is main important file for Vitest, the Vitest config file, that will be configure specific things for the Vitest tests. What we can customize using Vitest configuration are many stuff, like what to include, what to exclude, and how to manage dependencies, the reporters that you would like to use, any type of reporter, and how to order your tests, and what to do when tests fail, and yeah, stuff like that. These are the packages that you would need to configure your Vitest for your project. And by the way, the demo today is for installing and configuring Vitest for SPFx project 1.22. So yeah, these are the libraries that you have to add to your package JSON file. And you would need one of these commands to test, one to test local and one to show you the Vitest results in the UI. Also, we'll show it to you in a minute. Then let's go to the main important file for Vitest, the Vitest config file. This file has the setup and configuration for Vitest for your SPFx project. And as you see, it starts with the plugin. You might add all these configuration, or some of them. You don't have to add all these configuration, but I tried as much as I can add much configuration in order for you to see and maybe try this configuration. Then I set the globals to be true here to be able to describe and make Vitest global and make it available without adding imports everywhere. Then the environment, here I'm using JS DOM to simulate the browser environment for DOM testing, and then the setup file, or how I would like to set up the tests. So in this file also, I'm going to show you this file and how we set up the tests and how we run the setup for each test suite. And the coverage configuration, as you see, we include some files, we exclude other files, and reporters that you, I added all the reporters, but you can choose what you prefer. Then here I am enabling this alias to have clean imports, not to add very long imports everywhere. Yeah, and the output file, where I should add the output file. So in my setup here, I decide to have all tests in a folder. So let's show it to you. So this is the tests folder. and the tests components and the setup tests. As I explained to you, we are going to see the setup tests. Then, yeah, this is the setup tests. So here I added some setup for my tests, like after each, please do cleanup. So I can unmount and clean up DOM after test is finished and save my memory. And this is very simple test component. Here is a React component test suite for Hello World component, the default component that we always have in the SPFx project. So this is the setup, the base props configuration. I added some test values for the base props, as you can see, and I here, with the help of course, GitHub Copilot, I added these tests here to make sure that the greetings are rendered and so on, the environment message, making sure that dark mode is rendered or light mode is rendered, and so on. Let's run the tests in the terminal and see if it's really fast or not. Well, if it takes time, then we can go forward. So let's come back to the tests and maybe also the UI testing. Okay, let's leave it for now. And let's recap all these manual configurations. So what we did, we installed the dependencies, all the necessary Vitest and testing packages in the package.json file for the setup of Vitest. Also, we did set up the Vitest config file, the main important file for Vitest. And after adding the packages and the Vitest config, we run the npm install to update our packages. But can we automate this, not to add this for our project manually using GitHub Copilot? Yes, we can. But before we see that, these are the results of the tests. It's still waiting. Maybe I can stop and start again. Let's do that. And okay, let's this time go with testing using UI. And while running the tests, something went wrong. Let's clear. Let's start from the beginning and run it again. And while it is running, let's move forward. Yeah, it looks like, yeah, it works. Vitest UI. Yeah, something. Yes, here. And I did run the Vitest before our call, so let's see it here. Yeah, it's disconnected because it's still running. Okay, let's move forward and get back to it in a minute or so. And yeah, How can we automate this using GitHub Copilot? We can do that, of course, by asking GitHub Copilot and give it a prompt and explain exactly what we did. We did some changes in the package.json, and we added Vitest config and so on, and set up tests. And we can pass this prompt to GitHub Copilot in order to get a prompt that we can reuse to use it in other projects to generate the setup and configuration for Vitest. Let's run this prompt in the GitHub Copilot and see what it will generate for us. This is the GitHub Copilot, and this is the prompt that we just talked about, and it is processing, and it is trying to understand this prompt and helping us with generating the prompt that will help us next to set up the configuration. It is already generated, and we can double check here, seeing this file. So this is the file that has been generated for us to pass it as a prompt or use it in an agent to automate this process. Let's close this Copilot chat, and just to save my time, I already added this configuration here in the folder GitHub Copilot prompt. So I'm going to use this prompt to generate all this configuration. How can I do that? This is the prompt that we should use in order to generate all this configuration. But let's run this prompt via GitHub Copilot. Yeah, it will go through the prompt, understand it, and add all the configuration required for Vitest. But as I already did, then we can skip this, and let's also add this configuration to an agent, so we can use an agent to always help us in the configuration for Vitest. In order to use it as a prompt, we add it under prompts and prompts under .github, but we can also add this prompt as an agent. So as long as I added an agent to do the Vitest setup and I named it Vitest Expert, in the GitHub Copilot, I can choose this agent Vitest Expert and then ask it to apply all these changes. Okay, so this is just the recap. So this is what we have talked about, and this is the slide for links. And thank you so much. And yeah, see you next.